Lakers pulled off an impressive blowout of the Celtics last night.
Yeah.
Came with some controversy afterwards. Anthony Davis, hey, you know what? I'm at my best when I'm a 4, not a 5.
Heard that.
We need a center. Colin, what?
Now, first of all, let's be fair now. The Celtics were playing their 5th game in 7 nights, including a couple overtime games. Jason Tatum looked gassed in the first half.
It was a back-to-back with the Clips.
Yeah, it was. Boston looked spent. Boston's now going to go home, get some rest. So this was the perfect. Lakers were hitting threes. The Celtics, who usually do, could not. So it was a classic example of a team without its legs. Lakers got a bunch of open looks. Didn't matter if it was Dalton Connect, Austin Rivers. They hit
Austin
their
Reeves,
threes.
yep.
Austin Reeves. Sorry. Listen, that was just one of those. One team was spent and one team felt fresh. But I don't think Anthony Davis is wrong. I do think the Lakers could use another big.
How can you play 2 bigs in this era? I don't understand that. When everybody's shooting threes, you want to play 2 big guys?
Well, Denver won a title. They were big. Boston won a title when they got bigger.
How many years ago was the Denver title? 2, 3?
3. And by the way, Dallas at the trade deadline last year got bigger.
They did, but they alternate bigs. It's Gafford or Lively, not both at the same time. They got a stretch 4 in P.J. Washington. I don't know. Again, Lakers 5th in the West. I hope Charles Barkley is okay with that. Again, Lakers are trash. They're not going anywhere. 5th in the West. I don't know.
They're fine. They're an incomplete team.
Okay. I want to break this down for a few different reasons, but first off, right off the bat, I'm curious how you guys all feel about Anthony Davis saying that, that they want to add a center. I think it is always interesting. When we talk about bigs, though, like we obviously know AD isn't a traditional big. So, yeah, if AD kind of has the freedom to not have to be more, in this, a more center. I mean, all these positions really don't mean what they once upon a meant. So it's still kind of like hard to kind of always put into words. But I don't think what J-Mac is saying, though, is necessarily accurate when you're talking about someone like Anthony, Davis's skill set, along with obviously LeBron and just kind of how the Lakers are constructed in general. But at the same time, they need to add a center, and I'm like, but it all depends on what center you're adding. Like, I don't know who would necessarily be available at this time, and I don't know if it ends up being subtraction by addition then, depending on who you're going to add. Like, that's the more complicated aspect of all of this. But at the very minimum, you are getting AD kind of voicing like some unrest from AD. And I think it's worthwhile because AD is not known to be that guy. I think if he's vocalizing that, it should be listened to. It doesn't mean that action needs to be taken, but it should still be listened to. It should still be kind of like, okay, let me think about this for a second. Because this is not this guy, AD's not always running his mouth, always saying something. That's not who he is as a person. So, in terms of right there for title contention, I mean, that is where something is interesting. Where if you do add some big bodies and you do add some size, right, you might kind of lose some stuff for 3-point shooting against a team like the Celtics or a team like a faster, lighter team like the OKC Thunder or something. But then you are more in a position to play harder, physical, slower, more bullied ball in the playoffs. And we know that absolutely ends up being a thing in the playoffs. Is that these games on one side, sometimes they can feel that they're happening even faster. And other times, if you can dictate the flow of the game and you slow it down and, play the game on your terms, then size and strength just, again, we know refs swallow the whistle. Like you just start banging up against each other. And in a lot of ways, that's how you lost against the Nuggets. What was that, last year, I guess? I think that was last year. I'm already so turned around in that. Whereas if you could be more physical, if you could body some of these guys, then you're being in a better position to kind of come away with the win. So I don't know. I think basketball as a whole is still kind of fighting these multiple identities in terms of speed and shooting versus size and strength. But whatever identity you go with, whether you want to be kind of interchangeable like J-Mac was talking about, or whether or not you kind of have to really kind of settle on a specific approach, the approach is fine, but you have to be able to dictate how you're going to play in any given moment. And that's where things get interesting, because again, if you're talking about playoff contention or title contention, then you're talking about a 7-game series. Like, that's what it gets boiled down to then. What style of play is also sustainable for LeBron James at this point? Because you also have to cater to what that will look like. What will LeBron look like in a 7-game series? I still think that that's something that's being under discussed because LeBron James' game fundamentally changes. He's fundamentally a different person at this point in a 7-game series, in shorter rest. He just is. He's not the same LeBron that we know him to be. We saw that over the last couple of years. We saw that even just in the Olympics. We saw him getting fatigued and tired, and that's what we see in these 7-game series. So the Lakers are in an interesting situation. They definitely are, and they're at this path where it's kind of like, how do we want to approach this? How do we want to approach this for today, but also potentially moving forward? And that's why, like, my main question really is to all of you guys, like, what do you think the Lakers should be doing in this situation? Do you agree with AD that they are legitimately in title contention, or that this game, especially versus Celtics, was more of just kind of like, hey, these teams are facing each other at different degrees of rest and energy, which is undeniably a thing in the NBA, no doubt about it, in all sports, football, baseball, all sports. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here. I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.